Good morning. So, looking at military history. Back World War One, we wanted to, complete an objective, have a special raid to complete an objective. They'd send a team of maybe 10 to 20 people. And so you'd have your specialist, you got your communication specialist, you got your explosive specialist, you got maybe half the team specialists. The other half of the team is basically your common soldier whose job is to keep the specialists alive. Sometime during World War II, someone decided, let's streamline this. Let's create this thing called a commando. And a commando team would be maybe 4 or 5 people. I think they were generally 4 at the most. Well, more often 4, but they could have 5 or 6 even if necessary. Nobody's a specialist. You're above average in several different things. What you're good at overlaps with what the other people are good at. That way, if one person dies, someone can take their job. But no one's a specialist. We'd rather have people who aren't expert in something, they're just above average. I don't have to be better than everyone at this, I just have to be better than 75% of other people. And that leaves my brain open to learn other stuff, so I can, instead of being quote unquote specialized in one field, I'm above average in 3 or 4 fields. Takes fewer people, we attract less attention, parachuting. 4 people jumping out of an airplane, the 4th one to jump out can land a mile away from where the first person jumped out. And then they have to locate each other, and if they had supplies to drop, that's a 5th thing going out the plane, which they got to find the supplies, etc. Back 10 people parachuting, they could be spread across, 2 or 3 miles, and they got to find each other and regroup. And so 4 people made more sense. Less likely for people to get caught, less likely to be spotted. Just, worked. Now then, unfortunately, movies started dealing with commandos. And we had Jean-Claude Van Damme and Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these other commandos who were experts at everything. That's not how it worked. I am an army of one. That's, that kind of attitude, A, would get you killed as a commando. B, would get you kicked out of the commandos, because the whole purpose of the commandos was to be able to cover for each other, but you still had to rely on the other people. No one was an army of one in the commandos. Which brings me to my topic of role-playing games and commandos, or people thinking they're commandos in role-playing games. RPGs, typically you have your function in the party. I'm the fighter. I hit things. I do it very well. I maximize my character to hit things. If I need to be healed, someone else has to heal me. If I need magic cast, someone else casts magic. I'm the wizard. I cast magic. That's what I do. If I need to be healed, someone else heals me. If I need to be defended, someone else defends me. And so we get into these fights, My job's to hit things. Your job is to cast magic on me to make me stronger. And the wizard's saying, no. My job is to cast magic that does damage to the enemy. Your job is to keep them from hitting me. And of course, the poor cleric's sitting back saying, all I get to do is heal people. I want to do something more than this. And so role-playing, RPGers, role-players, they don't play as a team half the time. I mean, these people as commandos would be killed instantly, or would be kicked out of the commandos or whatever, because they don't look at the objective. They look at, I'm going to maximize my character. Not everyone does this, but a lot of people, it's, I put this effort into this character, and if I'm not doing anything, then I'm wasting my time, so I'm going to make this all about fighting. I'm going to make this all about magic. I'm going to make this all about whatever. And instead of working as a team, they're all trying to be in the spotlight the whole time. And so they're really ineffective. In reality, they would lose most of the time. There's for some reason there's a big thing saying you shouldn't lose at RPGs. I disagree with this. Two different standpoints on this, but it's a game. You can lose. In this case, it's a cooperative game. You're working together, so it is the game master is potentially able to kill you. Game master's function is not to try to kill you. He should be giving you a challenge, but a good challenge you have a chance of failing at. Now, RPGs, they have what is called multi-classing. That is, I got my fighter, he goes around, he pokes things with his swords, but it would be helpful if he could cast some healing magic on himself from time to time. So, next time we level up, instead of taking another level of fighter, I take a level of cleric, and so now I can heal myself, or I can heal other players if necessary. This is where we're getting more into what a commando would be like. A real commando in an RPG would be a multi-classed character, sometimes with 3 or 4 classes. Probably 3 on average. Not every situation is going to be a fight. Not every situation is going to be disabling a device. Not every situation is going to be a social situation. So you got to be able to do everything. You don't rely on one person to do it all. Especially those social situations, because I know most RPGs, I have the bard, I can talk to this person, and the fighter's sitting here saying, I'm bored, I want to stab him. He's not answering your questions fast enough, I want to threaten him. And it's like, no. I mean, if you actually, as someone who's run games as a game master, I'm familiar enough with the rules to say, you're going to fail most stuff doing that way. No, you're not going to get the answer. You're going to have to kill the guy. If the fighter's sitting there drawing his sword, making threatening notions, then the bard's not going to be able to discuss him. Diplomacy roll, boom, 40. That'll that'll get people to agree with just about anything. Except you got this idiot standing behind you, waving a sword, making threats. Intimidation and diplomacy counteract each other. If the fighter wants to take a level in bard, then he can actually help you question the guy rather than trying to make threats. You can get around this. So, one reason I'm thinking about this was back. I used to play Pathfinder. Pathfinder version 1. They switched over and made version 2, which I never got into. As this was going on, I got to thinking about this, and I thought, there should be a game where there is more like a commando thing, where people have to play off each other more. You have to be a team. You can't, commando team, one person goes off the edge, all 4 of them can die. Role-playing game, one person wants to lead you into a fight all the time, that could be a mistake too. So I was thinking a combination Pathfinder Mission Impossible type thing, where leaving a trail of corpses is not the solution. Sometimes you have to get in and out without leaving dead bodies. You're going to have to do knowledge engineering. You're going to have to disable traps. You're going to have to talk your way past some people. And yes, sometimes you're going to have to knock someone on the head and leave them for dead as you run. That's usually more around your objective is, okay, we can kill this guy and get out and hopefully no one will find his body before we leave. Whereas if we kill the receptionist on our way in, now we have to get to our objective and out before someone finds a receptionist's body. That's your typical RPG is, let's just kill everyone as we go along. And we don't have to worry about people finding the corpses we left behind us. But, your Mission Impossible scenario, no, you can't just leave a trail of dead bodies or else you're going to give away the fact that someone's in here who shouldn't be in here. Now, again, Pathfinder, looking at the magic list, they have all sorts of spells no one uses. Because in a charge in and kill and everything situation, you don't need these spells. Detect evil. Everyone uses detect evil. You go into a tavern. I cast detect evil. I usually kick people out of taverns for this. No one's figured out. When the tavern owner yells "Get out of here" at someone, I've had someone say, "Well, my character's an elf. He probably hates elves. He's a racist." No, you walked into his business and cast a spell. He kicked you out. He's not a magician. He doesn't know what spell you're casting. He doesn't know you're just looking for evil people. The non-player characters, they don't cast. I walk into a spell. We walk into the tavern. One of the patrons cast a spell on you. Oh, attack him! No, he was casting detect evil because that's what you do when strangers walk around, right? That's what the players do. Why can't the non-player characters do it too? Now, Mission Impossible type scenario, we're trying to get into this fortress. They'll have people casting detect alignment. Is this guy good? Is this guy evil? Because yes, detect evil is a spell. Detect good is also a spell. So if we're trying to break into the big bad guy's fortress, he's going to have people casting detect good on people as they come in. There are hide alignment spells where I come across as neutral. You cast a spell on me, you can't tell what my alignment is. No one takes hide alignment spells because non-player characters never cast detect alignment spells on people. Because that doesn't go with the scenario. The scenario in most people's mind is go in, kill everything, get out. That's the solution. It's not sneak in. It's not try to convince them that I might be evil when I'm not, and I'm trying to prevent evil. It's kill everything. So there's all sorts of spells. Like I said, I could probably dig through a book and get a list of spells no one uses, but they would be great spells for a scenario where death isn't the option or isn't the answer to everything. Especially, we're trying to convince, illusion spells. No one uses illusion spells because we're going to cast a spell when we get in there. And if someone sees me casting a spell and suddenly this illusion appears, everyone knows it's an illusion. You don't cast illusion spells in advance. Now you have the infamous hat of disguise, which I can look like someone else, or I can look like I'm wearing a different costume or something. Everyone has one of those. So again, in a world where the hat of disguise exists, then you're going to have people casting detect illusion on a regular basis, especially if you're going into some place which is supposed to be guarded. So we immediately, again, a Mission Impossible styled Pathfinder game would immediately negate the the hat of illusion or hat of disguise, just because it would be common for people to be looking for this sort of thing. That's again, role-playing games. It's natural for the players to do that. Well, why wouldn't I have a spell that allows me to do this? Why wouldn't it? Okay, so a non-player character casts the same spell at you. Well, why is he doing that? Why would he be doing that? In a world where magic exists, he wouldn't just be doing that on everyone. But you're casting the same spell on everyone you meet. So that's another thing, a commando-styled Mission Impossible Pathfinder game, or you can do the same with D&D, but I'm going to say Pathfinder, would be all about using these spells no one uses, breaking the formulaic playing that everyone does. We walk into the room, we go through these steps. We search for hidden doors, we search for traps, we cast spells for detect magic, etc., etc. That would all be expected. Your big bad evil guy who you're trying to defeat is expecting someone to send a commando style party after him, so he's going to have traps set up to avoid your standard practices. Makes the characters think, or makes the players think a little more about what their characters are doing. One problem that would come about is that you have to change the whole leveling, or the challenge ratings. We have a party of 5th level characters, but they're multi-classed. So they might have 3 levels of one thing and a level of another and a level of a third. And so they aren't as powerful. I have three levels of fighter. I can't hit as hard as someone with 5 levels of fighter. So the challenges that a fifth level party would be facing would be a little less than a standard game, just because you're taking into account that everyone's not a fifth level wizard, fifth level fighter. They're actually a third level something with a level or two of something else. And so that is one thing. You wouldn't start with first level characters because to multi-class you have to start at, effectively multi-class you have to start at level 2 or 3 at least. And then the challenge progression would have to be less. So again, if more people were playing version 1 of Pathfinder, I would still be looking more closely into this and try to run some games even of it. Unfortunately, my choices are either abandon the idea altogether or find people who want to play version 1, which hopefully they still exist because, my opinion, version 2 is not good. The only reason they made version 2 is because they went overboard on version 1. So version 1, they should have just stopped making new stuff, cut it off a few books into it. Because, some of the newer stuff is just stupid, but my opinion only. And so that's it. So, again, the main thing, I think it would make gaming more fun for some people because you can't be the center of attention. Or you can't, I can't try to bend the game around my character when there's there are 3 other players that are wanting the game bent around their character. We have to work as a team. So that's it. Just wanted to talk a little, a lot of people, they think their characters are commandos, but in reality, they would make very poor commandos in the real world because people don't understand what commandos really are like. And that's all. Have a good day.